Okay, hey everyone. Thanks again for joining. Good morning. This is actually, let me actually quickly share my screen. Uh, so uh, this program is from 50IsNifty, Royersford Library, and also Sai Temple, where we do maybe monthly programs. We bring in experts in their industry, and mainly the programs are for people over 50, sometimes empty nesters. Uh, and like last time we did basics on wills and estate planning. This time it is on retirement ready. Feel free to check out the site. It's simple 50isnifty.com. And if you register any new programs, you would also be able to look at them. Let me stop share. And as I said, today's program is on retirement ready. We have Brian from Wells Fargo. Thanks, Brian, for joining and agreeing to do this session. I will let you speak then, Brian.
Vijay, thank you so much for allowing me to join here this morning. And everyone, thanks for your time. This is timely topic. I think it's on a lot of folks' mind, particularly with everything going on in the economy and inflation. Savings for retirement is extremely important, as well as preparing and funding your retirement over a long period of time. A little bit about myself. This is my 24th year being a financial advisor. I work for Wells Fargo Advisors here in the area. And I'm senior financial advisor and managing director of investments. A big part of our business really doesn't evolve around investments per se, but it revolves around education. And see, a lot of people know they need to invest for particular goals, but they don't know how to go about doing it, and they don't know how to set their goals properly to help them achieve those goals. So that's the importance of working with your local financial professional, whether it's someone at Wells Fargo or any other firm out there. I can't stress enough the importance of having these discussions. So again, Vijay, this is a great topic. Your last topics on will and estate planning usually goes hand in hand in our investment planning conversations. And particularly for those folks that are 50 and older, I will be joining your group here in another year. So while I'm not quite 50, I will be there soon. These are the critical years. Most folks are planning for retirement, and a lot of folks don't have enough saved for retirement. So again, really just want to thank Vijay for inviting me and allowing me to share some thoughts with everyone here on the importance of this topic. So what I wanted to share with you today is some timely information sponsored by Wells Fargo Advisors, but really it's very generic in terms of what it's trying to propose and what it's trying to address. And the topic is writing your retirement story, 5 questions you should answer before you retire. So it's really these critical years, 50 to 60, 50 to 65, in preparation for retirement. These years are critical. And these are going to be 5 questions. So I encourage you to take notes. And if you have any questions along the way, do we have any, are we allowed to answer questions along the way, Vijay, or are we going to open it up at the end for questions?
Whatever works for you, Brian, and for people who have joined, I mean, it's fine if they can interrupt and ask your questions. So as long as you are okay with that,
I'm fine. I'm fine. So we'll get started. If you have any questions, there's a small group of us here on this call, so I'm welcoming open dialogue. I think it would be great for this type of setting. So with that, I'll just get started. In your notes, you might just want to jot down question number 1. We're going to talk about this for about the next 10 minutes. What are the biggest threats to anyone's retirement? So there are a lot of studies done surveying the pulse of the US population as well as the global population and concerns for preparing for retirement. In the United States, it's quite different from our European counterparts, where a majority of the retirement burden falls on our shoulders, while the government helps supplement only a portion of our retirement. So there's been a shortfall here with a lot of individuals not properly saving during their working years to have a nest egg of money to draw from during retirement. And falling back on government subsidies just really isn't enough in today's environment in the United States. In Europe, they have a big governmental pension program for most countries that support retirees. They pay into it and they pay taxes into that system during their working years, and it provides for them a benefit in retirement that really isn't here in the United States. We do have a fallback, we do have a safety net, Social Security, but it's not it's really not enough to get by and live the lifestyle that a lot of people want to live. So what are some of the biggest threats to our retirement today? First threat, market volatility is a big threat to anyone's retirement. So what is market volatility? Market volatility is the economy and your investments moving up and down, depending on various situations. Market volatility is quite normal. The problem we face isn't that volatility is bad, because it's to be expected in any type of investment. But when you're retired and you're drawing on a pot of money while the market is moving in ups and downs, your draws should be consistent percentage of the portfolio, typically between 4 and 5% of the portfolio value. And if you're drawing income at a specific rate and the volatility causes your portfolio to fall in value, your income stream now has been reduced as well. And the problem for retirees today is a lot of them on a fixed budget. They have a fixed amount of income that's needed. So market volatility can have an impact on the income that you do receive during retirement. If you decide to increase your withdrawals while the market is down, it puts a lot of adverse pressure on the integrity of the portfolio. And one of the problems that faces is if you retire at age 65 and you live to the age of 95, that's 30 years that you need this pot of money to support you. It really can put stress on that pot of money over a long period of time. So I just want you to be aware that market volatility is an important factor when determining how you invest your money during retirement and how you should take withdrawals during retirement. Market volatility is a big impact. What are the other biggest threats during retirement? Your spending behavior. It's really important to prepare for retirement and not just wing it. So if you're in your 50s, this is the time to start to look at what you're spending. A lot of people have in their mind, oh, I'm going to spend less in retirement. I'll tell you, the reality is a lot of my clients and a lot of the people that have been polled spend as much, if not more, in retirement for a variety of reasons. In early retirement years, individuals like to spend their time traveling and doing fun things that they weren't able to do during their working years. And as you get older, the travel and the fund expenditures go down, and then you have increased healthcare costs. Whether it's paying for an aide to come into the house, whether it's assisted living or nursing care, those increased medical costs later in life are very expensive. So you need to be aware of your spending behavior and start to now itemize, look at your spending behavior in your 50s. And don't say to yourself, I'm going to spend less in retirement, but plan for spending as much, if not a little bit more in retirement, because you'd rather have more money than not enough saved. So spending behavior is very important. The next topic, one of the biggest threats to your retirement, and this has been a very, very hot topic. It's all over the news. It's inflation. Inflation is the cost of goods and services, everything you buy, increasing over time. Inflation will never go away. It's been around forever. The purchasing power of your money will continue to go down over time. But when we have situations like we had over the past 4 years where inflation gets extremely high in the 7, 8, 9% category, things get out of control. And you start to realize that when you go to the grocery store and you fill up your grocery cart and you check out, the amount of money you're actually spending is tremendous. And it puts stress on your budget. It puts stress on your entire financial situation. You need to plan for inflation. It will never go away and it will continue to rise. But if we look at inflation over time and over history, we've had extreme high spikes in inflation and we've had very low times of inflation if you look at the past 100 years. You guys were alive in the early 80s and late 70s. Inflation was actually worse then than it was 2 or 3 years ago or it is today. There are tools and resources available to the U.S. Fed to help mitigate inflation and to help reduce the effects of inflation over time. But realize that once inflation sinks into an economy, it takes years for those tools to really reduce inflation and bring them back to more normal levels. So we can see the Fed used some tools to reduce money supply and raise interest rates over the past 3 years to help us reduce inflation, not to where we actually want it. The Fed has a target of 2%. You know, we're hovering the 3 to 4% category at this moment in time. And if you look at the reports coming out with the data, inflation's still rampant in certain areas of our economy. The housing market is really high. It's just starting to slow now, but inflation will erode your purchasing power over time. And in your portfolio, if you're working with an advisor and we construct a income distribution plan, your income, we will always factor in your income need. We will always factor in inflation. And we run inflation figures on historical averages. So we know that inflation peaks, it gets really low. So what are the averages? Around 3.5 to 4% is what we average in when we build in inflation into your income plan over time. So be aware inflation's here to persist in perpetuity, but you just have to deal with it and manage it and be prepared for it. What are some other big threats to your retirement? The unexpected cost of healthcare. I think I already touched on healthcare, but you can't rely on Medicare or Medicaid to be your be-all and end-all for retirement healthcare because they won't. You're going to be getting prescription drug supplemental packages when you apply for Medicare to help pay for your prescription costs. You might need additional coverage if you have other health issues that aren't covered by your Medicare coverage. So you might need a supplemental policy. In addition, again, to later in life, as you get older in age, a lot of the specialty health care that's required will be out of pocket or subsidized by some other insurance that you buy that's very expensive. So you need to start to think about the costs involved, your personal health situation, and realize that from a financial professional's perspective, we hope that we go to sleep one night and then just pass away during our sleep. But in reality, that's not normally the case. In reality, as we age, we have multiple years of significant healthcare expense costs because of the quality of care that we can get to prolong our lives is very costly. So just be aware, healthcare coverage is going to be a big expense. And what is the last threat to your retirement savings? For question number one is outliving your assets. Being 95 and out of money and being in great health. So in January, I just celebrated with one of my clients their 102nd birthday. Don't have a lot of clients over the age of 100, but it's not unheard of. You don't want to be 85 years old and out of money. You don't want to be 90 and out of money, or 95 and out of money. So you need to start planning today, so that way your pot of money can sustain your lifestyle and your budget, cover your medical costs over a 25 to 30-year period. All right. Question number two. This goes to the government benefits of Social Security. When should I take Social Security? What is the timing of Social Security? It's a big question mark. So everybody wants to maximize their benefit from Social Security. The question about that is, to maximize your benefit of Social Security, you need to answer, or you need to have a crystal ball. Crystal ball is going to tell you how long you're actually going to live. Nobody knows how long we're actually going to live. But the earliest age that you could take Social Security is age 62. At 62, if you do take it at 62, you will be getting a permanently reduced benefit. So just be aware you're not going to get your full Social Security benefit if you decide to claim at age 62. For most everybody on this call, if you're between the ages of 50 and 60, your retirement age is between the years 66 and 67 in the eyes of Social Security. That is your full retirement age, otherwise known as FRA on your Social Security statement. So if you take and claim Social Security at your full retirement age, you will be guaranteed your full benefit for your life. You also have the option to delay taking Social Security up until the age of 70. And if you do that, you will be getting an added bonus on top of your full retirement age amount. So what does Social Security give you as the bonus? They give an 8% increase per year between the age of your full retirement age and 70. So if you delay, wait to take Social Security to age 70, you could be getting a significantly more monthly installment in your benefit. Now, you might say, I don't have longevity in my genes. My family, everyone's passed away in their mid-70s, so I plan on doing that too, based on my health. You may decide to take benefits early at 62. But if you have a propensity to live to your mid-80s or 90 or above, you'll be much better off waiting to either your full retirement age or age 70 to start taking Social Security. Work with your financial advisor. We have tools and calculators to analyze your Social Security statement to help you determine the appropriate time to take Social Security.
So Brian, a quick question. The Social Security is paid to both spouses, even if only one was working the whole life, or is it the person who added the money into it?
Yeah, so if both spouses worked during their life, but one spouse earned a lot more than the other, let's give that scenario. There's a lot of scenarios here that we could talk about and get in particulars. The spouse who didn't earn as much has the eligibility to take a benefit off of their spouse's amount. So let's pretend the husband worked a lot of years, the wife didn't work. The wife would have the availability to claim Social Security at a reduced amount of her husband's benefit.
Okay.
What I highly recommend everybody on this call to do, and this is where you want to write something down, go to ssa.gov. Log in, create a username and password. This is the governmental website for Social Security. In the past, everybody would get Social Security paper statements. They are no longer sending paper statements. So if you haven't seen one in a long time, that's the reason why. You need to go and log in, create a username and password, and you're able to download or look at what you're eligible for in all the particular scenarios that are available. Another scenario that may be out there, VJ, is a divorced couple, separated couple. Is that separated spouse eligible to take the benefits from the spouse that they were married to? Absolutely. It depends on the length of time that they were separated. So there's a lot of rules around that. But a lot of cases, that spouse can claim benefits off of the other spouse. And just be aware that if your spouse claims benefits from you, it does not affect your personal benefit whatsoever. If you're not married and haven't worked enough to actually be eligible for Social Security, then you may not be eligible to get any benefit. I highly recommend everybody on this call go to ssa.gov, create a username and password, log directly into the Social Security Administration's website, download your statement, and review it. This is the time to start looking at your benefits. It will tell you what you're eligible for, what your estimate will be if you retire early, if you retire at full retirement age, and if you delay and wait till age 70, they'll give you a full spreadsheet of what those numbers look like. So you can start to budget now and be prepared for your retirement. There's a lot of different scenarios that play out in Social Security to help you maximize what you're eligible for. Again, work with your advisor to take a look at those calculators and those tools that are available when you're planning and working on your retirement financial planning. Question number 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Brian, I have a quick question on SSN. I just want to understand the SSN benefits from the people who are not green card holders or US citizens, right? From the H-1B, we have earned 40 credits, right? I think that's what I understand is the base for anything. So in case, I mean, you decide, that you don't pursue your citizenship or go back to your home country, how does that work? Should we consider anything from that perspective?
So one thing I would recommend, because this can get extremely complicated with these different regulations that are currently involved with the administration and the juggling of Social Security rules. If you're in question regarding your personal situation, you are eligible for 2 things to do. Number 1, you can call Social Security and talk to them over the phone regarding your personal situation and what you're eligible or may not be eligible for. Are we still on the?
I think it's sharing, right?
Yeah, I see a Zoom screen right now, a blank Zoom screen.
Let me stop sharing. Okay. Yeah.
Secondly, there are Social Security Administration offices located all over the country. You're eligible to call them and make an appointment and go in and actually talk to them about what you're eligible for. So regarding green card, regarding the different types of visas that are available, I highly recommend that you make an appointment and discuss your personal situation, because they can get very complex. Is that fair?
Got it. Yeah. Just wanted to know, is there anything specific we have to from the contribution to SSA perspective? Is there anything else we have to keep in mind based on what your experience is?
Yeah. So one other thing to keep in mind, and it's been a hot topic in politics today, it is Social Security and the longevity of the benefits of the actual program. So as we all know, and if you've followed the news, they're talking about Social Security being defunded and not being enough money to support Social Security later in life. I will tell you that the odds of that happening are slim to none. There are significant pools of money available still to fully fund your retirement, my retirement, and many others. But if you look at the generations, and right now, the baby boom generation is entering and in retirement. And I don't know how much you all know about the baby boom generation, but that's the largest segment of the population in the United States that are all now starting to claim Social Security. And they are putting a negative draw on that pot of money, because the amount of people funding Social Security, there's less of us funding. And the other problem we're having is most people are living longer today. So you have more people drawing on the system, living for longer in life, meaning a lot of stress on that pot of money. Over the next 5 to 7 years, one of the administrations, I don't know who's going to draw the lucky straw, and it's not going to be popular at all. There's going to be some hard decisions to be made on the Social Security benefits. And it's either going to be a change in when you can claim. So maybe your full retirement age will rise. Instead of age 66, it might be 68. It also might be, and this seems to be from the experts that I've listened to and talked to, it'll probably be a combination of that, as well as it will only affect maybe people under the age of 40 whenever they enact that rule. So for a lot of folks claiming now or getting ready to claim, I would not be worried about your benefit. But those folks under the age of 40, I would say that there'll be good chances that will be some slight changes to either the timing of when you're eligible to take Social Security or the percentages of the withdrawal that you're going to get from that pot of money. However, it won't go away. Remember, Social Security is a safety net system. It's not designed to be a be-all and end-all to fund everyone's full retirement.
Thank you.
Question 3. Oh, is that okay?
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for that explanation. Yeah.
Question 3. What are my possible healthcare costs? How does that affect your retirement? I don't know if anyone's looked at the cost of healthcare lately. The inflation on healthcare has been tremendous. The costs of some of the prescription drugs, the costs of stays in hospitals, the cost of procedures have all been rising at astronomical rates. And the advancements in medical technology have been great, but they've been very expensive too. And that expense gets passed on to the user, to us. So just be aware that there's some things out there from governmental programs designed to help us cover some of our medical costs. So here's a big thing I want you to write down. Medicare starts at age 65. So you have to apply, whether you're working or not, for Medicare. And if you're working, you don't have to take the Medicare, but you still have to apply, and you could suspend your coverage. Virtually all U.S. residents are 65 or older will qualify for Medicare. Some of the exclusions, if you're disabled, you're eligible to claim early. even if you take Social Security benefits early, you must wait till 65 to claim Medicare. So that's one of the big questions people have. If I claim Social Security at 62, can I start Medicare early as well? No. So just be aware that if you decide to retire from work at age 60, you're not going to get any government support. You're going to be fully funding your own health care for 5 years until age 65, unless your employer provides you with some additional benefits. And be aware that Medicare doesn't cover all solutions. There are several parts to Medicare, and you can talk to your financial advisor in more detail regarding those parts of Medicare. But there's a lot of parts of Medicare that are going to be out-of-pocket expenses, not fully covered by the government. So I want you to be aware that healthcare costs are tremendous. As you get older, you might not think you're going to be ill, but the odds are most of us get sick and something happens or some type of health event as we get older, and those odds increase over time. I see it if you look at the reports. If you don't cover healthcare, if you don't have healthcare coverage, and you have a health event, the odds are you may wind up bankrupt based on that health event. It's a big reason why a lot of people in this country have to declare bankruptcy in their retirement. They're not working, they don't have health coverage, and they're not yet ready for Medicare. And if an event happens, and next thing you know, you have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of medical bills piling up. So, employer coverage, maybe you don't retire at 60, maybe you work a few more years, you save some additional funds aside. Employers a lot of times today offer a health retirement account, an HRA, or an HSA, health savings account, in addition to the 401k or 403b and 457, which are retirement income plans. But a health savings account helps solve this problem. Doesn't eliminate the problem, but it helps you save more money for retirement. And there's tax incentives to use that as well. Question number 4, as we move along, how much can I spend in retirement? This is a personal question. I have a lot of people that ask me, what do most of your clients, how much do they spend in retirement? And I will tell you, it's all over the board. Clients that spend $50,000 a year, and I have clients that spend $250,000 a year. Everyone has a different personal lifestyle. Everyone has different goals. Everyone has different objectives. So you need to plan for yourself. So how do you do that? Write down your expenses. Work with your advisor on budgeting. We have a good tool that we use with all of our clients, and it allows them to side by side look at their expenses today, write down, itemize. What are all those expenses? And we have most of those expenses already spelled out, and they just have to fill in numbers. And then let's look at trying to forecast what those expenses might be in retirement. Your internet, your cable bill, your car insurance, your taxes, right? Prescription drugs, your fund money for eating out, going on vacations, the gifts that you're making to charities. Start itemizing those expenses today to get a handle on what it really is that you need to live your life.
Ryan, is that tool available on wellsfargo.com, or how do we get that spreadsheet?
Right. So most financial advisors have these tools. I have them readily available with my clients I work with. These spreadsheets are available. It's not rocket science when we work with a budget, but I would say that it's easier when you have some sort of format to go by. And a lot of those expenses are already itemized, like your household expenses, One great things, I don't know if everyone on this call does this, but a lot of credit card companies, if you pay for a lot of your bills through credit cards, they have the ability to itemize how your spending is each month. Wells Fargo, if you use the Wells Fargo debit card, they have if you click in there, they have the ability to show you how you spent your money that month. Gas, clothes, eating out, groceries, utilities. So we have tools available and as a resource for all of our clients to help you figure these things out. Because again, you can't just go into retirement blind and try to wing it. There's too much at stake. There's just too much at stake. So what you need to do in retirement then is try to match your income that you're going to generate from your savings. That's personal savings, that's retirement savings, like 401k money, 457, 403b money, depending on who you work for. Any pensions that you may have, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, and Social Security. You start to match your income to your expense budget. And then you can calculate and determine if you have a surplus or a shortfall. And then you can work with your own financial advisor to start to determine, how do you close the gap? Is it, I need to save a little bit more today? Is it that I need to maybe try to get a little bit of an increased rate of return in my portfolio? Is it the fact that you have money sitting in cash, probably maybe not earning anything, that we need to optimize what you're currently doing? Is it you may need to adjust your benefits or your not your benefits, but your goals for retirement, and your budget is just unrealistic? A lot of times it's a combination of all of those things to help get you on track for retirement. One of the things to consider, if your income is less than your expenses, retire later. You can work a few more years in life. Spend less in retirement. Save more during your working years. Increase those 401k contributions. Maybe consider leaving less money to your beneficiaries. Maybe taking on a little bit more risk in your portfolio. If your income is greater than your expenses, and this is a great problem to have, if you determine that you have more, you're going to have more income than you actually need, you might be able to retire earlier. You might be able to spend more during retirement, take an extra trip each year. Maybe you can spend more today and not sacrifice so much of your life today. Maybe you can spend a little bit more today. Maybe you can decide to leave more to your beneficiaries or charities. Maybe you can decrease some risk exposure in your portfolio at that point in time. Those are some of the things that you can think about once you start to itemize your expenses and look at this situation. And finally, question number 5, how much should I invest during retirement? So a lot of people think, oh, I'm 65, I just retired. I'm going to take all my money out of the market and sit in cash. I need to reduce my risk in retirement. Cash today, you're lucky that it's earning around 5% in interest. But historically, the interest rates on cash are around 2%. Inflation hovers, like I said earlier, around 3.5%. So if you're earning 2% on cash historically and inflation's at 3.5%, the pot of money that you saved for your retirement, the purchasing power is over time going to shrink. You need to avoid that from happening, in particular, if you live 30 to 35 years in retirement. So most folks need to invest some of their money in an appropriate allocation over time. You're going to need to work with your financial advisor to determine what type of strategic allocation you actually need to meet your goals and objectives. And you need to appropriately calculate the levels of risk and the anticipated rates of return over a 20 to 30-year time period to match your income need, your spending budget, and your risk tolerances. We talked earlier about one of the detriments to retirement is market volatility. And you might say market volatility and investment portfolios go hand in hand. And they absolutely do. But there are tools that we can use to reduce portfolio volatility. And one of the biggest tools that you need to be aware of and utilize is appropriate diversification of your assets. That means spreading your investments over multiple different types of investments in different categories, depending upon your risk tolerance. And I talk to my clients about this all the time. It's the recipe. The recipe is the key to portfolio performance over time. And the recipe for one individual is going to be different from the recipe from someone else. Just like if you're making pizza or ice cream, the recipe is different. The outcome is going to be different depending upon how you mix those ingredients and what ingredients you use. Diversification can help smooth out the ups and downs and make them more consistent or more calculated and manageable over time. There are always going to be some variations in portfolio, but if we can manage that expectation over time, we can greatly increase your chances of success. In fact, studies have shown over time, the key drivers of portfolio performance to reduce volatility, 87% of it is based on the allocation. So almost all of the drivers of performance and allocation and performance over time are driven by the strategic allocation. It's not the underlying securities. It's not by trying to buy the latest hot stock or, talking about a friend about some magic company and they've had, great rates of return. No, it's not that at all. The key drivers to success over long periods of time is appropriate diversification. And not only that, the second factor is staying invested when times get difficult. If you remember 3 years ago, during COVID, a lot of people have panicked. And the problem with that is you're invested in a portfolio that all of a sudden panics and drops in value. And it's because COVID was the unknown, right? This has never happened before. And maybe there's not going to be any tomorrow. Well, I can look at a chart that itemizes all of the unknowns over the past 120 years. Whether it's terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center, whether it's a global housing crisis that leads to a financial crisis and collapse of the major banks in the United States, whether it's the assassination of presidents, whether it's world wars. I can go on and on and on and list reasons why people would be fearful for investing. Yet you look at the charts over a 20, 30-year time period. And if they just committed to staying invested in an appropriate allocation and diversify during that long time period, at 30 years, during retirement, their odds of success are very, very high. Very high. So staying invested, working with your financial advisor, and staying educated when times get tough. You can't get involved in watching the nightly news because it will just put fear and panic in you every night. You really need to focus on what the financial experts are saying regarding the economy. And there could be a disconnect, and there has been a disconnect. If you look at your nightly news, you might say this country's not going in the right direction. Well, I could have said that 20 years ago too. The generation before us said this country's not going in the right direction. 20 years prior to that, that generation said this country's not going in the right direction. Here we are. Today, we're still the gold standard. Might there be question for that? Absolutely. Are things perfect? They are not. But you have to trust business when you're investing. Everyone's will to get up in the morning and go to work, to make money for their family, to put food on the table is what we're investing in. Unless we all say, I'm done, I'm not working, and that happens universal across the board, that's when business fails. That's when the markets fail. That's when your investments fail. Life, as we know, would change permanently. So it's very unrealistic to say that the will of the people to get out there and work is going to stop. The will of you to get out and work drives company performance, shareholder value. It drives consumer spending, and it drives business spending. And that's what you're investing in, not just in the United States, but around the world. So stay invested. Take control of your portfolio, work with your financial advisor. You answer those 5 questions. And again, the 5 questions we've talked about. What is one of the biggest threats to retirement? Market volatility, spending behavior, inflation, healthcare, outliving your assets. When do you start to take Social Security? Healthcare, what are your costs going to be? How much can I spend during retirement? Work on your budget. And finally, sitting down and properly diversifying your assets and working with somebody to actually craft a portfolio that means something to you. You answer those questions, you're going to set yourself up in your mid-50s to have a portfolio and a longevity throughout retirement that will sustain your need for income. I can't stress the importance of it. So I thank you all today. And if there's any additional questions here on the back end, I'd love to address them if we have time, BJ. I know we're kind of running out of time.
Yeah, no, we do have time. So anyone, if you have questions? Okay, while people are thinking about questions, I have one, Brian, and I think this was a question someone sent who could not register here or could not come here. But when in retirement, should between Social Security, 401k, and other assets, how should you distribute taking the money out? Is it 401k first, then Social Security, or other way, or what's the best way to get the money?
So the answer is it's going to be different for every individual based on the tax situation, the income need, and what they have already saved. The question on Social Security all comes around what is your willingness to accept that you're going to live into your mid-80s or into your 90s. If you're going to live that long, we want to defer taking Social Security as long as possible. Again, we have calculators that help us determine when to take Social Security. Realize that when you retire and you start dipping into your retirement savings, whether it's a 401k, IRA, 457, 403b, depending on where you worked, those pots of money are tax deferred buckets. And what that means is when you start to withdraw, they become taxable income. So a lot of the question determines, it revolves around the taxation question. So cash flow analysis is extremely important when you're working with your financial advisor, crafting a plan that's unique to you. Because a lot of people have different buckets of money saved. They have cash assets that are readily available. They might have retirement plans like IRAs and 401ks. They may have other retirement plans like Roth accounts. Roth accounts have a benefit in retirement because those withdrawals you're not going to pay taxes on. And then when do you take your Social Security or pensions if you're lucky enough to have a pension from your employer? So the answer, Vijay, is not straightforward. It's unique to the individual. And I would say that you have to work on cash flow analysis to answer those questions.
And is there a certain age when you have to take 401k withdrawals? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Great question. So the rules on this have changed in the recent years, and the IRS is, I don't know if everyone realizes, but the IRS changes the tax code every year based on the revenues that the government needs. So in years prior, at age 70 and a half, you would be required to start taking distributions. That has changed. The IRS has provided guidance that they are working their way up in age to eventually age 75. At this point in time, if you were at this point in time in day, if we were to look at it right now, the age is 73. So the IRS went from 70 and a half to 71 to 72, and now we're at age 73. The guidance is that someday down the road, they anticipate it'll be at age 75. So if you look at today's rules, at age 73, you will be required to take distributions from your retirement savings.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone knows how those calculations work, but there's a formula involved, and it's published in the IRS website. But the formula, everyone thinks it's a mystery. It's not really. The formula has to do with a calculation that figures in your account value. And I will tell you that if you look at the formula, it's usually around, because the IRS does change the amount of money, the revenue they want from you every year, but it's about 4% of your account value.
Okay.
That's the need.
I have a question on chat here. What should one look for in the financial advisor?
What should someone look for? Okay, so I would not focus on investments, because investments are commodities. You can buy them anywhere. Just like going to the grocery store, you go from one grocery store to the next. You're going to be buying the same apples from one store to the next, but it's really the experience that you're going to get. Same thing when you go and work with a doctor. You can get a physical, one doctor, and same as the other, but it's the experience. So I think that you need to interview an advisor and feel like you feel comfortable working with that person. You can build rapport and engage with that person. I think that's most important. You also want to work with a firm that has the resources behind it to help guide and make sure there's perpetuity in what you're doing. Because realize retirement planning isn't a one-time event. It's a long relationship. So you want to have an outlook that you can trust the organization that you're working with over a 20, 30, 40-year period or a multi-generational period. So I think that's really important. One of the reasons why I chose to work with Wells Fargo is the fact that we've been in business since the mid 1800s, been around a very long time. We manage a significant amount of assets. We have resources behind us that provide a lot of education. If any of you watch Bloomberg on the television, it's a great financial news resource. They will feature economists from a lot of major organizations on their show daily. It's non-biased. It's great educational material, and it'll get you in tune with the markets and not give you the fluff, the the advertising, the junk that gets in the way and clouds people's minds. You'll see it's featured. We allot a space and time on a company like that. So the Wells Fargo Investment Institute is highly regarded. Our chief economists and our staff are great, and they provide excellent resources for our clients. So investments are a commodity. You can buy them anywhere. It's about the relationship and the organization is really what I would say.
Any other questions? Okay, I think we are coming on time, 11:30. Thanks again, Brian, for your time. I know you had your son's game today. You had to go. Hopefully, you will be able to. I think you said it got postponed by 1 hour, so will not take much of your time. But again, thanks. Let me quickly share my screen. As I said earlier, people who joined, again, this is recorded, so I'll send it to everyone who registered. But please feel free to give a feedback on this session and earlier sessions. And also, if you are interested in any other session, please feel free to come to our site and let us know what other sessions you would want, or also the feedback on what we've been doing. So thanks again, everyone. I will stop share, and thanks, Ravi. Anything else last minute? Okay, thank you, everyone. I will stop the session now. Thank you, and have a good weekend, guys. Bye.